And welcome back to Babe in Library. I'm very excited. Today is a long-awaited recommendation video that I have been planning since before October. So it is spooky season, it is Halloween time. What better time to give you recommendations for paranormal, specifically witchy business, right? And so when I think about all of the paranormal romances that I read, I tend to lean heavily into witch romance. And so I've got a number of recommendations for you all today. I actually have five different tropes. A big catalyst for this video is going to be my love of the Stay a Spell series by Juliet Cross. So you're going to see each one of her books in a category. I just want to preface that now. But let's go ahead and get into recommendations. So the first set of tropes that I'm going to give you, if you are interested in witchy romances that have men that have been cursed by witches, look no further. I know you're like, Lisa, that sounds sick and twisted. My mind goes there. So when I think of witchy romances, again, starting with the Juliet Cross Stay a series spell, the first one in the bunch is Wolf Gone Wild. So this is the first in the Stay a Spell series that Juliet Cross did, and this has a main character witch named Evie. Evie is one of the Savoy sisters. They are based out of New Orleans, and Evie is just, I fell in love with her because she embodied me, right? In terms of she loves comics. She is a big fan of DC, actually more than Marvel. I teeter between the two, but I do understand and appreciate her love for DC, specifically Batman, but neither here nor there. She meets a werewolf named Mateo, and he comes looking for her because he needs help breaking his curse. Now, I'm going to tell you, werewolves are not liked in this community, right? Like, they are probably one of the lowest forms of supernaturals in New Orleans. And so Mateo comes to Evie to see if she can break him of his curse. Now, his curse was set long before by forefathers, right? So curse was placed on him to be to keep his wolf, which is named Alpha. Alpha is hilarious. Alpha is trapped inside of Mateo, and so unlike most werewolves that can come out during a full moon and being able to transition into their full form, Alpha never gets released from Mateo, and he is giving Mateo the blues. Like, he is very angry for being trapped. And so Evie positions, with her sisters to see if she can break him free of his curse. I really think if you're ever going to start with a series, start in order. Get to meet Evie and Mateo and work your way up. So still within men cursed by women, or witches rather, men cursed by witches, you're going to see the X-Hex. I read this month, and I actually really enjoyed it. I thought that I was going to dislike this book. I received this as a proof copy back in 2021, so it's been an entire year since this was released, and I'm just now getting to it. But I was a little bit hesitant to jump into this because literally everyone that I knew either gave this a low rating, talked about how boring it was. And I think that's because in the book community, we are so hyped up for salacious reads. And don't get me wrong, I've got plenty of salacious reads on the list. I prefer open door romance, and I'm here for all of the spice and steam. This does have some, sexy times, but this is more of your cute and cozy romance read. So I want to make sure I preface this. If you go in with an open mind and have and understand that this isn't going to be drama filled, you are not going to get the action in which you may get in some of these other books. I think you'll find that you will like this a lot more than, some of the people that may have come in with different notions. So I really like this. This was a witch who actually cursed her ex back when she was a teenager. Her first love essentially broke her heart. It was a 3-week romance, and I know you're like, really 3 weeks? But think about it. When you're young and you're in love, that puppy love, you really, gravitate towards that person. And granted, they were freshly in college, right? I think they were either freshmen or sophomores, but still, I'm still, full transparency, reeling from or recovering from a, relationship when I was in college. So that kind of hits home here, and I definitely understand, sometimes you want to just put a spell on that person and, wish them nothing but the worst. But I really enjoyed this. This is also a read that I would recommend if you come into it with open eyes, or an open mind rather. Okay, so my next category, I'm going to skip past book 2 in the series simply because that one is going to transition into 2 categories. So I'm going to jump right into another category that doesn't have the Juliet Cross series, which is going to be fake dating with steam. So again, I know I just said sometimes you just need that cozy, soft, sweet romance, but truly, I love spice and steam, right? And so I wanted to recommend that fake dating trope that we all know and love. And I figured no better than my great sis, Dani Brown, who, in my personal opinion, is the best Brown sister. Don't argue with me. I really don't care to be persuaded or changed. Don't get me wrong as well, though. I do like Chloe. And I adore Evie Brown. But Dani is my favorite. There's no comparison to her. Sis is a witch. And not, in most of these books, you're going to have that like spooky, paranormal, like witch. No, Dani is just your normal, everyday gal practicing a couple of spells here and there with her girlfriends. She, I guess, would fall more in line of the Wiccan category rather than witch. But Dani is a boss babe. She is going to school. She is I think she's like either a assistant professor, but she's working, I believe she may be working on her PhD. Yeah. She is a bisexual character, so she loves men and women, and baby, she's a feminist. So Dani don't hold her tongue. She's sexually liberated, and she comes across a security guard that works at her school named Zafir. Now, Zafir, he's your cinnamon roll, sweet, rugby gruff player that's shy, and he's been pining for Dani this entire time, bringing her food and treats because he knows that she's always on the go and she's not taking care of herself. And I just love it. Like, fireman carries her down the steps, and it's caught on video, and from there my heart was just wrapped up and captured. He wanted to date her already because he was pining after her, and she was like, I need a sex buddy, and Zaf was like, cool, let me do that for you. So this is my this is what I suggest for witchy romance, but you're not necessarily into like the spookiness of it or the taboo of it, and you just want someone that's your regular schmegular girl who's a boss babe Wiccan. So next is going to be in the fake dating with steam is going to be a novella by Alexis Daria, and that is What the Hex. This has your main characters, Kat and Diego, and they are both witches. Kat and Diego are ex-lovers who siblings are getting married to one another in an arranged marriage. And they come back into their secluded island because Kat has moved away to New York. She had a little bit of a burnout from magic, and she wanted to get away from her family, who that island has nothing but witches and warlocks. So she left to go to New York. She's coming back home, and obviously she's going to the wedding, and she is the best maid, or maid of honor actually. And she comes back to the wedding, and who does she see in a closet that she has to run and scramble into? None other than Diego. So that there are some, scenes in which they have to take it to the next level for show. All right, so moving into second chance romance, I'm going to talk about Witches Get Stitches. So this is the third one in the Stay a Spell series, and this is going to deal with a witch and werewolf, and that witch is going to be Violet and her guy Nico. Now Nico is cousins to Mateo, who we talked about in the first book. So this is second chance romance. They had a fling way back when, but for whatever reason, their flame burned out, and now Nico is coming to live in Louisiana to be closer to his cousin, and Violet's pissed. Like, I think she believes that Nico broke her heart, but he loved her all the time, and it is their romance, and Violet trying to fight for tooth and nail not to be with Nico. And similar to the last one, this talks about breaking curses. So I love this book. This was probably my second highest couple, like my second favorite couple. We'll talk about one of my favorite books in a second. But actually, correction, this is my favorite actual couple, but my second favorite in the series. So keeping along with a second chance romance, we're going to talk about Not the Witchy Wed by April Asher. This is second chance romance, werewolf and witch. You are going to have Lincoln, who is the werewolf, and you're going to have Violet. So see what I did there? There's Violet in Witches Get Stitches, and there's a Violet in Not the Witchy Wed. Not the Witchy Wed is actually the book that kind of really just made me think I want to do this video, because it was giving like Charmed sisters type vibe, and that is my favorite show. Like, I can rewatch Charmed, the original version, not the reboot. We're gonna act like the reboot did not happen, but the original version, I can watch it again and again and again. Give me Prue, give me Piper, give me Paige, give me Phoebe. How could I forget Phoebe? She's literally my favorite character. Me and her are just alike, and who wouldn't want to marry Cupid? But that is a spoiler if you haven't seen the show, but I really think it's been out for well over 15, maybe even 20 years. So it really should be no spoiler, but whatever. Anyway, back to Not the Witchy Wed. These are two characters who were again in love young, were actually involved with one another, had some heartbreak. Lo and behold, they find each other again. There's a lot of magical covens, weddings, possible soulmates. It's a good time. Please pick up Not the Witchy Wed, especially if you're looking for a Charmed theme. Okay, next I will go into severe age gaps. And severe age gaps would be book 2, Don't Hex and Drive. This is Isadora and Devraj. Devraj is a vampire, and of course, him being a vampire, he is so much older than her. Like, he's been around forever. And what I love about this book is this puts a lot of tropes on its head, right? And what I should have said about each one of these books, Juliet has a way of placing themes into each one of her books that I absolutely adore. So this one it talks about sex trafficking, Witches Get Stitches talks about, people being shunned based on, who they are when they were born, right? Like, so it talks about diversity, the power of making sure to dispel prejudices and end, I would say, racism, but of course for them it is caste-like because we're talking about werewolves. And we'll talk about the practice safe hacks when we get there. But in this one, I love that you have a Bollywood star, so a vegetarian, for lack of a better words. He doesn't drink human blood, which means he has to have synthetic blood, and that's something you typically don't get a lot of when it comes to vampire romance. So this was probably, for me, the first book that had like the spice levels to, red hot chili pepper. In the first book, Wolf Gone Wild, to me it was a little bit tame. It was like a good entry point, but once you get into the second book, baby, hold on to your britches because Juliet takes you there. So I absolutely love Don't Hex and Drive, and they have the cutest names. I just love this series, if you can't already tell, but this is truly your severe age gap, so much of a difference, but it's so beautiful in terms of the story that you get here. Okay, my next book within the severe age gap is actually going to be something that goes for both of the next category as well. So this book, severe age gap, and it is dark and delicious. So this book pretty much consumes my mind. Like, it is my latest 5-star read, my latest obsession. Before I get into it, I'm going to tell you right now, I never thought anyone this year was going to be able to supersede Daddy Emerson. I know you all have been hearing me talk about him quite a bit, and you're probably sick of it. Don't worry. A new sheriff is in town, rather, a new daddy is in town, and his name is Daxodon. Daxodon is my love, and I'm willing to share him with Blair. I almost don't have a choice, being who she is and what she can do, so sharing is going to be caring for me. But Blair and Daxodon are from my latest obsession, which is Charming Your Dad by Sarah Blue. Just take a moment. This is legitimately perfect for Halloween. Like, it's everything that we need. It's paranormal to the 12th power. It has demons, it has witches, I will say it has krakens, you name it, it's gonna be in this world. And I laugh, and I damn sure love. This is perfection. 5-star. But anyway, so Blair is getting back at her ex, right? Again, giving you very praise energy, but make it paranormal. I'm in love. This is a situation in which Blair actually needs to get revenge on her ex, which his name is Ryan, and Ryan is the son of Dax. And the plot goes from there. And when I tell you there's plot, there is mystery, many deaths. We trying to figure out what's going on and who wants to kill Blair. It's a grand old time. And I forgot to tell you, just like Praise, there is a sex club in here called the Inferno. Can it get any better? I'm gonna tell you right now, it can't. Sarah just put this out like last week or the week beforehand. I need book 2 immediately. Like, I already know it's Lilith and Lucifer's book. What I gotta do to be a beta reader. So, this is dark romance. It has a lot of different kinks that are in there. It has a lot of good witty banter. I'm going to tell you, I don't think I've found anybody in, you know, these recommendations that I've been providing today that's as funny as Asmo. Like, he's hilarious. Needless to say, this is your warning. Before the end of this month, please go pick it up. All right, our final book to close out, final book of Juliet's that's out currently in the Stay a Spell series, which is dark and delicious as well, is going to be Practice Safe Hex. Again, get into the names of each one of these books. This is going to be Gareth and Livy's book. Gareth is a Grimm, and this is the first time I've read a Grimlock in a story, so I was very much intrigued. They are dark, they are mysterious, and I needed to know more. They are rivals. So this is like an enemies, rivals to lovers. This kicked it up like 20 notches for Juliet, in my personal opinion. Like, when I got to, there's a scene where they are outside after like the wet t-shirt contest. Mine was blown. So this is perfection because they are competing against one another in a contest to win money and to support a charity of their choice. And you get to see a lot about, as I talked about, each one of Juliet's books has certain things that they try to, you know, imprint on you. And the one thing that this talks about is home children for supernaturals and how humans do not know how to raise them, and they tend to be worse off than your human foster home kids. So I, again, love this series. I want you all to be able to pick up any one of these recommendations, but I highly recommend the Juliet Cross series. I highly recommend Charming Your Dad. Honestly, I highly recommend it all, which is the point of this video. So if you happen to have any thoughts about any of these books, have any questions for me, place them down in the chat. I would love to hear from you. Leave me a picture of the little demon emoji, right? Like, so the little guy that's purple with the horns, whether it's a smiley face or an angry face, you leave me that in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye.